that's a big part of the process, because you have to, when you're working with actors at least, work on making it interesting for them to go on stage and do it for the first time, to experience it thoroughly for the first time every night. And that's a part of the process, yeah. There's a lot of planning and timing to be really, really exact to make it happen as you want it. And then interesting thing is that sometimes the conductor is in a little bit different mood or something, and all that planning, well, it's great when it really fits. Yeah. A lot of preparation, and then in the end you just have to trust people that they know what they are supposed to do. And yeah, that can be a bit nerve-wracking, but it's also kind of a relief somehow. You just, okay, I've done mine and I cannot do anything more. I'm very interested in people, in psychology, and in yeah, telling stories. That the stage is a stage, and you cannot change that. It is what it is, but it's kind of this. It's a place for telling stories. I love the theater space where where people are telling stories. So somehow you have to start out with it being just theater, and then draw people into the story of these people on stage. I don't have to understand everything with my mind, but I have to understand it in my stomach. So if I see actors acting out what I have told them to do, and with the analysis I have made and told them, but still I don't feel it, we have to work harder, we have to change something, we have to, so that it hits you not just in your head, but in the guts. Well, this is the most beautiful place I've ever worked, and you really get uplifted. There's so much light, there's such a flow in the building itself. So you really want to live up to it somehow. Yeah, I think opera needs new thoughts. I really think opera needs to both reconsider their ways of doing, how a process is going on. I think that's a thing that could be explored more. There's a great potential lying in opera, also by making new operas. There's a lot of conservatism, and there's a lot of, well, usually I look over here when I'm saying this, and I get that answer. So opera has to start to explore and to make it really new and personal each time, not just flying in some person who knows the role, I think. But of course, music is important, but I'm for the whole experience.
Gesamtkunstwerk.
Gesamtkunstwerk, ja.
That's great, super.
Well, there's no way to get around it. When you call it pageant, it is pageant. And for me, it was very important to understand what Juri Reinvere wanted with it. I'm from the theater, and I always, when I start with my work, I always try to understand the world of the author. I really get deep into why did he write this piece or play now, what did he write before, what did he write afterwards. And when I understand kind of these motivations and what is the core of the play, then I start to, or maybe a bit earlier, but after like understanding the core, I can kind of understand also what I feel is most important to me about it, and why you should put it up today. So in this case, we had two authors, kind of. So in the beginning, I really spent a lot of time just understanding Peer Gynt and what tradition it is in and everything, and Ibsen. And then there was also this other author, Yuri. And I had a lot of talks with him and really tried to understand what he saw in this play as the core, right? Maybe we had different views. And then, yeah, making a new play or a new piece. The music is quite melodic, actually. Actually, I'm saying, because when we first got the score, the melodies were not so audible because the singers do not have them. The singers are kind of lying over as it's more like they have their way of a dialogue. They have just their way of talking. So the dialogue of the opera, or the one could say, is accompanied by the music. So it's more like a film score. This is my way of seeing it. Yeah, but and then in the beginning, when we got the score, we just heard it on the piano, and it was quite dense, or pressed together. So it was kind of not always easy to understand what kind of atmospheres there were. So it was a big surprise when we suddenly heard the music, which was, yeah, after my work. But it's really, it is emotional and suggerande. You get sucked into it, yeah. Yeah, this was the first time Katrin and I worked together, and I am very happy for our meeting. And we started out since this process was a bit strange, we were working parallel with the composer. So we had to create our own systems, our own rules for this world, and then just hope that it could fit with the music later. And she's a big artist, and it was great fun, yeah. She had this idea that we should have one element, so she suggested a floor, which could start kind of as a map, a map over Per's world. And then together we developed how this map could surprise us and develop. And in the end, and how it would kind of disappear from him when he loses himself totally in the madhouse scene, or Rome. And how it came back unexpectedly from the roof, and when he came home to Norway, it went through itself and landed. And this was kind of we talked to Yuri parallel, of course, in this process, and he said, here, for example, there is 5 minutes of the climax of the whole opera. Okay, and that's all we knew. And Katrin had the idea when she came here and we were going to do Per Gynt. She probably told you, when we were going to do Per Gynt at the National Opera and everything. And this is such artwork in itself. She also wanted to do this one thing that changed, this one artwork, which then, became our floor for Per Gynt. Yeah, we had not heard the music, so we had to create everything. So we thought, okay, 5 minutes, climax, what could it be? And then we came with this.
Just
Yeah.
from
The whole fundament of our, how you usually work with opera, right? It was not there. So this was a very interesting process that way.